All right, boys. So just to catch everyone up to speed here, this thing imploded. It imploded. So not exploded, right? Everyone knows what an explosion is, but this thing actually, like a little can, just poof, imploded, right?
Yeah, so I believe you're referring to the submarine, the little tourist one that went down to the Titanic, whatever it was called. Honestly, I haven't heard like any news on the outcome of this from a direct source. I've only gotten it through memes. So please explain to me what went down.
No, so per usual, I don't get my news from memes, but from Moist Critical himself, the god of the news, of course. It's very reliable. I trust everything he says and take it to 100% truth. So these people, there was a handful, I think it was like 5 or 6 people maybe, don't quote me on that. They decided that for Father's Day weekend, they wanted to go down in a submarine, that's what we're going to call it, and put little air quotes around submarine, and they swam on down, I guess. Does a submarine drive or swim? Do you drive the submarine down?
I think you pilot a submarine.
So the submarine pilot. See, that doesn't sound right though. I'm going to say it swam. The submarine swam down to
descended.
It descended into Avernus. No, it descended into the Atlantic. Probably.
Yeah. Anyway, continue.
I 50 shot there. So this thing descended down into the ocean to see the wreckage of the Titanic, which I would like to say, I've thought about this extensively. This would be super cool, by the way, if this was like an actual legit thing. If there is a service out there that lets people get onto a submarine and go check out the wreckage of the Titanic, I would absolutely do it. That would be super cool.
100%. But to my understanding, I mean, so first of all, it's so far down that it's incredibly difficult to get a craft that's able to make it all the way down. And the submarine that these folks were on is basically like one of the only of its kind that can hold passengers and go down that deep. So sort of a marvel of engineering there, or maybe not.
We'll call it that.
Well, based on what we know happened. But the only issue is like it doesn't have windows or anything because obviously you can't at that depth. So you're really just you're going down to look at pictures of it.
Well, but that's where it gets really interesting, Zach, because I don't know the extent of what you've heard here beyond the memes, right? But this submarine did have a window on it.
It did?
It actually had a window. I think it was for like 1,300 meters, I'm going to say. I think it was meters. So 1,300 meters is what it was set for standard, right? So if you go deeper than that, you get the little beeping red mark on your HUD from Subnautica, like, hey, you're hitting your deadline here. You're hitting your line. But the Titanic was like 4,000 down or something. So this thing, now keep in mind, this submarine has been making this trip for a while, right? They've done this before. So it goes all the way down, 1,300 safety rating, 4,000 is where they're going. And they do this. They've done this before. So it gets all the way down there, or we actually don't know because they lost power somewhere along the way. And this thing just starts drifting around. At this point, we're hearing updates from the news, like the Navy has heard some sort of knocking from inside I'm going to call it the cockpit of the submarine. And so they think, oh, maybe they're still alive. But then the Navy also said that they heard some sort of like implosion-y sound, whatever the technical term for that would be, And so they thought maybe they were dead, but it gets weird because the news got like mixed up where apparently we weren't informed that it had quote unquote imploded before they heard the knocking, supposedly. So going even deeper than this, where was the knocking coming from? Is this a haunted, imploded submarine at the bottom of the ocean? I don't know.
Could be fish. Do fish knock?
I don't think fish knock.
No, probably not.
I've never seen one knock, but maybe when you go so deep down, they're just like knocking around.
Well, so are they thinking that it's impossible for them to have been alive when they heard the knocking?
That's what they're saying. They think so, but supposedly the explosion-y sound that they heard was a couple days prior. This was over the course of like a week. I want to say like 5-6 days or something like that. So yeah, I mean, ultimately we assume that these people are gone at this point in time. Very sad news. But it's very interesting, this whole arc of things that were happening. It's weird just the random things that the internet tunes into, like we go from Pepe the Frog to like a random submarine going down to the ocean and imploding.
Yeah, I mean, I think the scale of this tragedy is a little bit different, but it does remind me of the Evergreen ship that blocked that canal, whichever one.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think the internet is just we're super hyper fixated on it for the moment, and then it'll pass. But it is a shame because I do think this kind of like deep sea tourism idea does have legs. But I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure it was up to code and able to do what it needed to do, but evidently the guy operating it was using a like a little third party knockoff PlayStation controller or some shit.
Oh, come on, get the Canon Xbox one. It can handle the submarine. I feel like you got it.
Yeah, well, that was the issue. They should have used the Series S controller.
Oh, I do wonder what kind of controllers are used for things like that. So if you were to operate something like a submarine or like, I don't know, like a tank, like just large vehicles that we don't normally use daily, right? Because there's drones nowadays. Drones have had this huge upsurge in the last, I don't know, like 10 years maybe.
Sure, yeah.
Where, civilians are using them, the Army's using them more. You see a lot nowadays, like realtors are using them to take pictures of houses and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And so, like, they really are blowing up, but I've never used a drone besides, like, a very small one that I got, like, for Christmas for, like, $20, that kind of thing, and then it flew into the power line, exploded, But I don't know what kind of controllers they would use for something like that. I always think of a submarine as a manned vehicle, and obviously there were people in this submarine in this example, but are there unmanned submarines? I don't know. I'm not sure.
So yes, there are remotely operated submarines, absolutely. Which you really don't want to send it like a human being down to the depths that these go to like capture the information that they're getting, But it is interesting because it doesn't seem like there's a standard for what that controller has to look like, because it's not really a consumer product necessarily. Whereas we've got video game controllers, and you would never expect to see a video game controller used for like a drone, because in our public consciousness, we know that if it's a little thing with a propeller that flies, you use an RC helicopter controller for it with the two little sticks. And that's pretty much how, as far as I know, RC car, RC helicopter, whatever, like that's what drones use, because it's for a small thing that fly. But if it's not being sold to people, then put whatever fucking controller you want on it. Like, they're not going to use it. Microsoft isn't going to come after you for using an Xbox controller.
But would you pay money though to see someone piloting some sort of large craft with like a Guitar Hero controller? Like, how cool would that be?
Yeah, pilot challenge run. I flew an airplane with a Guitar Hero controller.
That would be sick. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, no, that's a terrible idea. I'm sure it wouldn't work as well, because
you don't know.
Well, when you see like these challenge runs, like I beat Dark Souls with the DK bongos,
Jesus,
like obviously they fail a lot because it's hard to do that. You don't want to put yourself in those kinds of restraints when failure means death.
Well, you start small and you get really good at it. Like we can make it work. There's obviously a lot of controllers out there, right? I'm thinking simplicity's sake. If I'm in a submarine and someone's driving it, I want it to be like just a square with WASD on it, and it just helps pilot from there. But I am curious. I want to hear your thoughts on this, Zach. If you were in a airplane or a tank or a submarine or some sort of large craft that had to be piloted by a controller of some sort,
sure,
which controller would you feel most comfortable being piloted by? Like, would you be scared if it was like a GameCube controller? Would you prefer something more modern?
Oh, absolutely not. GameCube controllers are indestructible. I think they might not give you the fine level of control that you might need, but like for something like a tank, I think a GameCube controller could work just fine. Absolutely, I would not be comfortable with a Switch Joy-Con or multiple Joy-Cons. I don't care if you need that motion control ability for whatever it is that you're doing. Because I don't want them to drift. And it just doesn't seem like a reliable tool. I mean, I can't really speak to the long-lasting usage for some of the newer controllers, but I am a big fan of the DualShock 5, which is the DualSense for the PS5. And honestly, I was a big fan of the DualShock 4 as well. So I think either of those would be okay, though I don't think there's any one de facto, we have to drive a submarine with with the GameCube controller. Though, if I were to, make an argument for what's going to work the best, you definitely want one of those that were built to last, because I still have the GameCube controller that I used as a child is still seeing heavy use in Smash to this day, and it's still going fine. The stick's a little worn down from repeated flicking, but it's still going strong.
That's crazy. I haven't played GameCube since, I don't know, like 2010 maybe. I don't know. Correct me if I'm wrong. Do they have 3 joysticks or 2 joysticks?
On the GameCube?
Yeah, one's on like the weird penis-y thing.
No. So you're thinking about the Nintendo 64 controller.
Oh.
The GameCube has 2 sticks. They're just in weird spots.
Okay.
So I guess it was the Xbox configuration. So it's stick on the top left, stick on the bottom right. But the bottom right stick wasn't really designed with like modern play in mind. It was really like a stick for the camera. And then they realized, people like first-person shooters. But so it's just a tiny little, it's like a little yellow penis on the on the lower half. But what you're thinking is the Nintendo 64 controller, which, let me be clear, this is actually the worst controller for especially for important use, because the joystick on that thing breaks very easily. I have never used a Nintendo 64 controller with a 100% functioning joystick.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah, they are fragile. And there were games that were released at that time where they said, what will we have them do to get through this challenge? What if we just have them rotate the stick as fast as possible? And so the way that kids do that, obviously, is you put your palm on it and you just go to fucking town.
Yeah.
Especially for some of the early Mario Party mini games, that was pretty much all that it was, is rotate the stick as fast as possible. So you do that, and they didn't have any like padding or like rubber cushioning at all. So it was hard plastic cutting holes into these kids' hands as they're fighting to beat each other in Mario Party, and it also destroyed the controllers.
Jeez.
So the horrible design. But those controllers actually only had one stick, and so for GoldenEye and Perfect Dark, which were like some of the first console shooters that they were able to get to work on console, it was really you had the one stick that you could use to move around and pretty much aim and do everything all with the one stick, and you just would like press a button to get into like a finer aiming mode, but it sucked. I've played GoldenEye all the way through on a N64 controller, and it was a good solution for the time, but boy, it does not hold up today.
It's funny you say that because I've never seen like a broken one, but to be fair, I only ever played with that controller one time a year on Thanksgiving. I would go meet up with my family in Pennsylvania, and we would hang out. We'd play Mario Kart Double Dash. Now, I don't know if you've played that game, Zach, but it's the shit.
Oh, Mario Kart Double Dash is the shit.
Oh, yeah. It was by far my favorite Mario Kart I've played to date, which I haven't played a ton of them, to be fair. But, that thing got the job done. I was like the one... So, I have a whole lot of cousins in my family, like ranging from like, I don't know, back in the day it was like, 5 to like 26 or something like that. And so there's a good variety. I'm somewhere in like the lower middle area, right? I would show up and destroy these kids.
Oh, for sure.
Oh my God. I would prep for Thanksgiving was coming up, so like I wouldn't eat as much, 1, and 2, I'd go on YouTube and I'd watch videos of how to play Double Dash, like strategies on how to drive the car, how to throw your bombs, how to get the shine runner off your cousin real fast, like, oh my God, I would prep. So it was like a training marathon, or not a marathon, a montage with Eye of the Tiger playing in the background. Oh, I love that fucking game.
And that was the kind of shit that I would pull to as a kid, because I was definitely a try hard. Like when we got to college and everyone was playing Mario Kart 8, I had already like gone deep into that game, and so I was determined to kick everyone's ass at it. But then Mario Kart 8 Deluxe came out for the Switch, and I wasn't as good at that one. I was only good at Mario Kart 8 on the Wii U. So
I don't know how many Mario Kart games came out for the DS in the time, but back in the day, I had my DS, and me and like 6, 7, I think sometimes even like a full race, 8 people. Well, I think it was 8 at the time. I don't think it went to 12th place.
Yeah, I think.
We would get on the bus to go to school, and we had time for like 4 or 5 races. And so
nice.
we go through like a full day. We'd all connect. I don't know how you connected your DSs to each other back in the day.
They had like a little, they'd shoot out their own little Wi-Fi radius. It was called DS Download Play or something.
Which is way better than the weird, shitty old Game Boy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But we would all connect on the bus, and we would go hard. Like, we would be screaming, how long the bus driver would be yelling at us, like, shut up, stop throwing shells at each other. Like, it was, oh my God, it was so good. What a blast. What a blast.
Yeah, that sounds like a ton of fun. Honestly, like, that's the thing about video games as an adult, is it is impossible to find other kids to play with.
I know. Oh.
I mean, you have to do it online, or have your buddies.
Which it's funny enough. I think we've talked about this once before as a suggestion for D&D in a past episode. But we need more apps out there that help us find other people to play with. I think that would be really cool, like a Mario Kart Finder, or what do you call it? It would be like we could make it something funny, something punny, like Match.com or like MatchMeMario.com. Like we can make it work. I think we can make it work.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Mario, and I know that this intro to the episode's running a bit long, so just know, Table Talk Friday fans, we are going to talk about D&D in a bit. But have you seen there was a Nintendo Direct the other day?
No.
There's a new Mario game coming out. It's Super Mario Bros. Wonder. And this game. People don't seem to be talking about it, but I really just want to get my opinion out there that this seems like the perfect Mario acid trip game.
Really?
Well, it's just bizarre, like the kind of shit that they've got going on. So there's I think it's called the Wonder Flower or something that Mario can pick up now, and it seems like there's one in every level or whatever, and when you touch it, everything just goes fucking bananas. Like the examples that they gave, the second you touch it, the colors start going wild, like strobing in the background, and then like the pipes that were just around because you're in a Mario world, crawl out of the ground and turn into worms and get little faces on them, and now there's flowers who talk to you, and Mario turns into a fucking elephant in this game.
What? He actually turns into an elephant?
Yeah, and it's not like Super Mario Odyssey where like he possesses an elephant. No, it is he eats the elephant fruit, whatever it is, and then he turns into Mario with a big trunk and his overalls and everything, but he's an elephant.
Wait. So let's break this down for a moment here. So he's still Mario. He still has his little outfit on, his little red hat, but he has a trunk.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you've seen other games where Mario puts on like a frog suit, or he puts on a raccoon suit. It's not that. He turns into an actual elephant.
What's the point of him turning into these different animals? I don't understand. Like I like the classic ones where you get the flower and then you're Mario, but you can launch fireballs.
Yeah.
Or like star power, you grab it and you're like invincible and you're running around, right? But then I never got the stuff where it's like, oh, he's a raccoon now. Oh, he's a frog. Why?
Yeah, well,
how does that help a plumber?
The interesting thing about Raccoon Mario is like his whole thing is he flies. Like raccoons don't fly.
Where do they get that? Also, why it's the power up, if I'm not mistaken, to turn into a raccoon is a leaf.
Yeah, you grab the leaf to turn into a raccoon to fly using your raccoon tail.
But where are they getting this leaf from? When I think of raccoons, I think like, trash cans. They're getting into stuff they're not supposed to. Maybe they're climbing over a fence. Where's this leaf coming from?
Yeah, leaf is a weird pull. And I'm sure there's some cultural reason in Japan it makes sense. I know, so there's 2 variations of the raccoon, too. You can either turn into a raccoon or a tanuki, which is like a Japanese raccoon with big testicles. What? Yeah, that's the thing. And you if you get the Tanuki suit, then you can do everything that you can do when you're a raccoon, and you can turn into a statue because Tanuki are mythical creatures as well that turn into statues.
Whoa. I'm gonna jump over that.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna dive into that one.
So maybe with all that said, this game isn't that much of an acid trip compared to the other Marios, but it seems to be stepping it up a notch, or at least it's shown a light on it in a way. I mean, I know like this was the most popular joke to make on the gaming internet in the early 2010s, like, ooh, Mario eats a mushroom and he's tripping out, man. But I think we might see a resurgence of that because this game is definitely, it seems to be putting a spotlight on how trippy Mario can get.
Okay, I'll have to watch the direct because I am super into Mario. I like the old Mario games. I'm not a fan of like all the new stuff that's come out. I'm old school. I like the 2D stuff where you jump up and there's a block and then Yoshi rolls over and you catch Yoshi, just the basic stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And so the nice thing about this game, just from a gameplay standpoint, is it's the first Mario game that 2D Mario game that's come out that doesn't have New Super Mario Brothers in the title. So it seems like they're ditching the New Super Mario thing, and the aesthetic is very pleasing. Like that they've sort of redrawn Mario. It's a fresh design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm into it. We'll see how it turns out, but it looks pleasant enough at least. And then the other thing that they announced, well, I guess there were a couple other things. There's a new Princess Peach game where she's the main character in the works.
I didn't know there was other Princess Peach games.
There was one, and it was it was oddly sexist.
Oh no.
Yeah, so the Super Princess Peach for the DS is the game, and the whole thing is about like channeling her mood swings.
What?
Yeah, so like her different powers that she has, like she gets angry and does she gets really strong and can like break through things and fight enemies, or she gets really sad and so she starts crying everywhere, and I believe it like grows flowers or like floods places. So like she just gets super bad mood swings, and that's how you control the game. And then the whole purpose of the game was to get the Vibe Scepter, which I don't know how you can
Vibe Scepter?
Yeah, that's what it was called.
That should be a magic item in D&D.
Yeah, I don't know how you can read that as anything other than, a scepter that vibrates.
Oh.
Yeah. Oh. Yeah, exactly. So super weird. I wonder what they're going to do with the new one. They really didn't announce anything about it. They showed like a 2-second teaser where Princess Peach like gets on a stage and starts singing, I think. So
okay.
Yeah, we'll see. And then the other thing was they're actually remastering Super Mario RPG, which I don't know if you've played that.
No.
But it's old school 90s game. And it looks good. I've got nothing else to say about it. I haven't played the original Super Mario RPG, but I like that they've kept like the style of everything super faithful. So like in the original game, Mario was really small for some reason. Like he had really small, stocky proportions. They kept all that in the new one. So I'm happy to see them sort of stepping away from the standard Mario design that we've had for the longest time now. Like every Mario game, Mario looks more or less identical. So I like that they've stepped away from that a little bit.
Okay. I'm a little disappointed in us that since Seth's not here, we decided to talk about a Nintendo character.
Oh, of
again.
course.
But at least we picked the red one this time.
Yeah, there was a Sonic announcement too, but Seth's not here, so we won't talk about it.
We'll save it for you next time, Seth.
Yep.
Hopefully you're listening in. Welcome to TableTalk Friday, guys. My name is Andrew. I'm with one of my best friends, Zach. Zach, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. It is a Sunday, and I've showered. I just got out of the shower. I don't know if you can tell by my wettish hair.
Oh, is that why you look so luscious?
Yeah, exactly. My locks are looking particularly luscious today. So really hyped about that. And I'm excited to be talking about D&D. I just got through with preparing our session for tonight, which will be our next session of Out of the Abyss. And so you all may or may not have found yourselves in a prison break situation. And so I thought on today's episode of Table Talk Friday, we would talk about prison breaks and sort of heist situations in general. and how we've handled them in our campaigns, and sort of just general advice about those situations, because I think there are ways to do them well and there are ways to do them wrong. And I believe last week Seth and I sort of talked a little bit about our experience in a broad sort of way about how that situation might go well or not. So in any case, an excuse to talk about our campaign that we're playing.
So I want to be very clear that I've forgotten that we're playing later today like 3 times. And so I've gotten this burst of joy 3 times this morning. We're like, oh yeah, we're playing later. Woo! Because we're doing everything kind of like a day later this week. And normally we try to record on Saturdays and play on Saturdays. Usually, it seems like. But now we're doing it Sunday this week. So it's totally throwing me for a loop. But to the point of prison breaks, right? I didn't realize till just at this very moment. I don't think, unless you guys can recall, because I haven't run very many games for you guys, in my limited time as a DM, I don't think I've ever run a prison break. And to be clear, when we say prison break, we're really just talking about breaking out of something. You don't have to be breaking out of a prison per se. It doesn't have to be like the law of Waterdeep that are keeping you down. It could be a creature that has captured you. I'm thinking The Hobbit, where like there's people being caught by those ogres and trolls and they're waiting to be eaten. That kind of a thing. It could be a literal prison. It could be recently actually in Avernus we were stuck in. I don't know if it's actually legit or not. Seth may have made some of it up, but there is a whole layer of hell below Avernus, a couple layers down.
Yep.
That was Carceron that was entirely designed around a labyrinth prison, essentially. So there was just these endless halls of cells and places for people, and there was like VIP areas, and there was the places for like the lesser petty thefts, all that kind of thing. So there's. Just to be clear, there's a lot of different variations of prison break that we're talking about. I would love, Zach, if we jumped first into just our most recent adventure here, just to kind of talk through it, how we thought, as it was pretty different from, I don't say it was super different, but it was pretty different from prison breaks that we've discussed before.
Yeah, absolutely. And so just for all of you listening at home, we are going to be covering light spoilers for the beginning of Out of the Abyss. Obviously, I won't be spoiling anything for Drew because we're playing later today. But just keep that in mind if you are a player and plan to play in Out of the Abyss at any point, or if you're a DM and you want to read it for yourself. I don't know, maybe listen anyway. But in any case,
I will
there's
emphasize
your warning.
very quickly. I will emphasize the light in the spoilers, as we played for 3 or 4 hours, but we did not get very far at all.
Yeah,
so very, very light on the spoilers here.
Yeah, so the situation is it's just the first chapter of the book. You guys didn't make it out of that first part, so not heavy spoilers at all. But in any case, the adventure opens with you all trapped in a cell. So you've been captured by the Drow, and you meet a number of other prisoners who have been trapped in the cell with you as well. And what's interesting about Out of the Abyss in how this is tackled, and I think it's a smart way to go about it, and it's one of the reasons that drew me to running this campaign in the first place, honestly, is how different of a situation it is from your typical like start to a campaign. But you all wake up in this cell, and all your shit's been taken, and your ability to cast magic has been limited. You're all restrained, so it's difficult for you to break yourselves out. It is very not friendly to the player to start. So, all of the equipment on your character sheet, all of your tools that you thought you'd have at your disposal are sort of pushed aside, and now you really have to think out of the box. Okay, well, how are we gonna get out of this situation where there are guards everywhere? There's a very real possibility of death if we fail, and obviously you're trapped with this whole other group of prisoners who would also like to be set free. And so, how do you finagle your way out of that situation? I'll be blunt and say that you don't know. You don't know how you're gonna get out.
No, tell us, Zach. How do we get out of the situation?
But it's interesting. So last session, the way that things sort of went down
was poorly.
Well, yeah. So you all, you're typical D&D players in that you see a problem and you think, okay, well, I just have to solve it. So there's a door in our way. Obviously, that's what's keeping us from getting out. So as long as I can break out of, break the door open, we should be able to run away and escape. But that didn't happen to work, just because the way that this prison is laid out, there are guards everywhere capable of alerting each other. There's sort of a tight watch on the cell that you all are in, so it's more difficult than just that. But
I want to stress how tight of a situation this was for us, right? So, first of all, we just made these fresh characters for this campaign. We did not know was going to start out with a prison break, right? Zach had warned us that it was going to be very difficult, and it was a little different than what we've done before. So, we're thinking, we're going to get at least what we started our characters with. Absolutely not. Immediately, we were stripped of all of our possessions. We're shackled up. So me as the fighter, right? He took away all of our strengths. Me as the fighter, he took away my weapon. So I was restrained. So I couldn't do anything there. We had the monk, right? The monk is all about using his unarmed strikes, right? And obviously, a monk would probably be one of the most ideal classes to have in a prison break. Also mentioning a rogue is an honorable mention there. And so immediately, within maybe the first 5-10 minutes, he lost his arms. Zach chopped off Seth's limbs. So let's just summarize really quick, right? The fighter has no weapon. The monk has nothing, right? He has none of his abilities for the most part. He had a special ability where he could create 2 other arms.
Yeah,
luckily.
Yeah. So I will mention, I'm not that cruel of a DM where I would just cut off the monk's arms to make sure that he's unarmed. The pun really did lead me in that direction, I won't lie. But he's a way of the astral self monk, so he has the ability to conjure his arms, and I thought it would make for a more interesting beginning to the campaign. What happens if you lose your arms? Obviously, this is Dungeons and Dragons. There are ways to regrow your limbs or get new ones. So it's really a momentary setback, but I love the flavor of that. But and then the rest of the group, the cleric and the wizard, neither of them have access to their spells, and even in the cell that you're imprisoned in, it seems like your ability to cast magic is greatly limited as well.
Which stunk, because we were so limited on the things we could do there. Without any magic, right? We can't teleport, right? We can't teleport out. I'm all shackled up, so I can't break the door down because I don't have enough strength at this point, right? The monk, he's cleaning up his own mess. Oh, the evil guys took him out, and he was cleaning up a gross, gory mess of his arms being ripped off. And all these other people didn't seem to have anything to help us. There was one guy in the corner that we kind of took a liking to a little bit. He said he was guarding his corner or something. And we're like, tell us tell us a little bit, about yourself. And he said, well, hi, I'm Good Old Gamer, actually. And he was sitting there and he told us that he ended up in this prison because he actually hacked into the mainframe and into patreon.com and actually got a top tier for free at tabletalkfriday.com, where he was actually able to force us to run a game for him. We had to give him shout outs every single week. He got post content, exclusive content a week before. And so that was clearly he was a hardened criminal. So we decided to leave him in there.
Yeah, thank you for supporting the show, Good Old Gamer.
Appreciate you.
Yeah, no, that fellow was weird. And so that's the other thing. These other prisoners that you're with, there's varying levels of how helpful they seem. So there are some that are friendly, but almost all of them are Underdark creatures. So, for you especially, being our surface dweller and Chase as well, you weren't super familiar with even who these people are, and really I think as players, I don't know how familiar you are with Underdark creatures, but we've never really gone into the Underdark for more than a little bit, and usually if we do, it's just a couple drow or something.
Yeah, mostly drow. We dealt with one particular evil wizard in a certain module that was down there, as well as some NPCs, but really, beyond goblins, drow, and like a bullet, we haven't really seen much of the Underdark itself. So I am excited to hopefully get out of this prison and not be executed. But when we get out, I am kind of interested to see what else is out there. We did immediately start seeing some giant spiders, which were cool, which you could see in caves. But also there were what were those guys? They were like these four-legged creatures that were walking around.
Yeah, the quaggoths.
The quaggoths.
Yeah, they're actually bipedal, but they they could walk around on four legs. Absolutely, they're like these big apish creatures that I believe they're aberrations, and they've been tainted by the evil magic of the either the drow or some other race, but they've been enslaved by the drow at this point.
So are they like wargs to goblins and orcs? Like, are they ridden or no?
No, they're like the size of a man.
Okay. So they're just like meaty boys.
Yeah,
okay.
Definitely, not the kind of thing that you want to fuck with. I mean, it's like a whole ass gorilla, but
Well, I think that ties perfectly into it, though, because we talked about being in the Underdark here in this prison, and that's what makes this prison break very particular, right? On top of it being very difficult for us as veteran players, I think an important part of a prison break is actually the theming of it, right? So if you're going to run a breakout of some sort, try to, at least personally for me, I would recommend you try to theme it heavily around something, right? So if you're breaking out of, maybe it's not just a cave, maybe it's a coven lair, right? And on the way out, there's magical traps that you have to maneuver, and there's hexes on the walls. You have to kind of figure out how to disarm them and escape. And maybe there's something flying or walking along the top of the cave. Like really theme it. If you're going for a full prison, an actual prison, make it so that there's a guard schedule, right? Maybe they're patrolling the hallways, and they only come at certain times. Maybe there's a corrupt guard. If he's a humanoid, maybe he, for a couple gold coins, he'll let you out, or he'll help you. I think before you run a prison break, or if you're designing one yourself, really take it in a certain direction and harp on it. I'm very excited to continue in the Underdark prison that we're in right now, and I don't think we're getting out anytime soon. I think we might still be at the Underdark for a while after we escape based off the name of the module. But yeah, theme them. Definitely theme them. I think they're extremely interesting and more immersive prison breaks when you theme them.
Well, yeah, and so I think the prison situation presented in Out of the Abyss is a little different than what you might typically see, but I think a prison break situation is almost inevitable in most campaigns at one point or another, if ever the party fails. This didn't happen in a campaign where you were playing, Drew, but in my very first campaign, we were playing Lost Mines of Phandelver. And boy, howdy, were we just so bad at the game. Our DM also just threw everything he had at us all at once. So he was not pulling any punches, and he even made it a little bit harder than it is in the written module. But we had a TPK at one point, and rather than having us all die and reroll new characters, especially just due to the fact that he really was not pulling his punches, the villains took us captive. And so, another big element of prison breaks, I think. Honestly, this actually happened multiple times in that campaign. We TPK'd and were captured. But it's you've been captured. They're obviously not going to leave you with all your shit. So now you have to find a way to get out and hopefully get your stuff back.
Hopefully get your stuff back.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens for you guys. But I love the concept of a prison break for this sort of situation, because it is obviously a punishment to the players, but it's not as harsh as death, and it forwards the story in an interesting way, because not only do you now force the players to think outside of the box in order to escape, monitor the guard patterns, get as much information about the layout of the prison as possible, hatch their escape with their limited tool set, but you're also you're forcing them to grow and hopefully the next time that they come upon this big TPK situation, they're like, well, I really don't want to go through that again. So maybe we'll flee, or we'll think about other options rather than fight to the death every single time, which is what we ultimately ended up doing in that campaign. Is we were able to escape, and then henceforth we were a lot more careful.
And to your story's point, you ended up in this prison, right? This jail, whatever it may have been, the actual setting there. You end up because you TPK'd. And TPK is a good opportunity to put players into this type of a prison break, right? But you have to be careful not to make it a consequence, right? It shouldn't be like horribly hard, right? It should be like the most difficult thing they've ever experienced in the D&D, and it shouldn't be a punishment.
Right, it should be fun.
Mm-hmm. It should be a fun prison break. Your players are going to want to go through the motions of a prison break. Like we talked about monitoring the guards, right? Maybe talking to a corrupt guy, maybe getting together with the other prisoners and forming some sort of a riot. Maybe you get the ability to talk to some other factions or gangs inside of the prison. That would be really cool.
Yeah, and so this definitely does put a lot on the DM to figure out, like, okay, how am I going to make this work? But in the right setting, it definitely can work in your favor because, I mean, even look at the D&D movie. What does it open with if not a prison break?
Oh, yeah, it did.
And that's, because of what the characters went through and the decisions that they made to lead them up to that point. Even in our Storm King's Thunder campaign, famously, one of our characters was imprisoned, and we actually decided to leave him imprisoned because he made a wrong call. But in a different party, we might have broke him out and became enemies of the state of Waterdeep or what have you. So the opportunities are plentiful for your players to get imprisoned. But even if it's not your characters specifically who have been imprisoned, it's super common to have to break someone out of somewhere in D&D. In Curse of Strahd, I won't give too many details about whom, but there were so many situations where to meet a valuable NPC, well, you got to take a chance and break them out of whoever's got them captured. So
I completely forgot we left Daleth in Incarceron.
Yeah, we did.
I forgot he was there.
Yeah, so in our descent through Incarceron, descent into Nessus is what we're going for. We met Daleth from our Storm King's Thunder campaign, who he was executed, and it was really rude of Seth to send him to hell, but I mean, it's what he deserved.
He was a pretty rough character.
Yeah, but what sucked about that is, Incarceron, now this is a sort of putting the prison break idea on its head, because we had to get into Incarceron to get to the next layer of hell, but we were not imprisoned there. And we were trying our best to not become imprisoned there, because it seemed almost impossible to escape if you were to be, killed and forced to serve the rest of your time in Incarceron. But yeah, he was just his ghostly form trapped in a cell. We tried to let him out, but there was just no way to get through like the magical bars that encaged him.
And I think he was anchored there because he was like some sort of spiritual form of himself, right? I think his soul was anchored there. We couldn't, like, he could get out of the cell, I think, at one point, but I don't think we could take him with us. I think he was stuck there.
Yeah.
Man,
exactly.
That stunk. I'm gonna bring up one more thing I really like about prison breaks. And I've mentioned before that in D&D, I like to feel in danger, right? I like to feel that, there's constant danger, there's threats out there that are kind of keeping you in check. So you can't do anything you want, right? Of course, there's risk to all of it. And risk, to me, is extremely important in a prison break. So jumping back to the Out of the Abyss setting that we're in right now, I felt intimidated heavily, right? So we're all restrained. We have very few abilities at this point. And so you have to kind of weigh your options, right? Obviously, we want to get out of here, but do we wait? Do you talk? There's some evil captors. I don't know if we've mentioned that. There's some evil captors there that are keeping us, and made it very clear that we're not leaving anytime soon, but we will leave eventually, right? So do we go along with this evil plan and wait to be released at some point and hope another chance presents itself? Or, maybe we risk it. Maybe we go to one of the evil drow people and say, hey, if we get out of here, we'll bring you back something. Maybe we bribe them. And so the idea that there are these things you could do, but they could result in something worse. Like, what if they separate you from the party? What if they put you in a different cell, or they even more heavily restrain you? They put more chains. They put like a bell on you so that you make sound all the time, right? There's always the chance in a prison break that things can get worse.
Right.
You don't want to throw away your shot at getting out of this prison.
Absolutely. And that's really when a prison break is firing on all cylinders in my mind, is that understanding of the stakes of this situation, because this is really, especially if there was a TPK and you've ended up in this situation, there's an understanding amongst the group that this is our last shot. And so that happened in Storm King's Thunder as well. We got into a fight with the fire giant Duke and his cater of guards, and they just obliterated us. And was
it a fight, Zach? Is that what we're gonna call it? A fight?
Yeah, it was a slaughter. We were. I mean, to be fair, I don't think we were intended to win that fight.
Absolutely not.
It would have ended the campaign right there if we did. But
I don't think it's a spoiler to say that there are fire giants with gigantic shields that are called dreadnoughts, right?
Yeah, and this isn't even in the written module. This was our post game content.
Oh, that's true. That's true
for it. And we were even in. Seth relocated the fire giant stronghold to White Plume Mountain, which is an adventure from Tales from the Yawning Portal. So it was a huge mishmash. No spoilers here for anything. But yeah, there were 6 fire giant dreadnoughts and Duke Salto and a powerful wizard all in the same room.
And we were us.
Yeah, I mean, we were a party of 4 level 13, 14 adventurers.
No, we were definitely up there.
Yeah, but we stood no fucking chance. And so what resulted from that is we were imprisoned, but we were, in such a place where we could sort of see what the fire giants were doing. We got, really the whole purpose of this trip into their base was intel, and we got the intel we needed, even by being in prison. And then all we needed to do was escape, which Seth, thankfully, was generous enough to give us a good escape route.
And we were given a push to escape. I don't know if you remember this. Well, first of all, as we were beat down, I don't know if you remember the monologue that we were given, or the description of us being beat and then put into the prison. We walk into a room, and we're looking around. We don't see much. And then Seth told us that the walls moved in. And then we looked to our right and left, and the shields from the dreadnoughts were the walls. And we're like, oh no! So that was terrible. But we were also pushed to escape out of this prison, right? Because we were through the bars of our cell. We were able to see what they were planning, right? And without going into detail, I know it's extra, but just in case anyone decides to pull something up online or whatever it may be, they were building this death ray of sorts, right?
Exactly. Their doomsday device.
Doomsday device, right? So we saw Doofenshmirtz himself activate the laser and just annihilate this poor man. And in front of us, we're like, we got to get out of here. There's no waiting. We need out right now.
Well, exactly. And so in that case, we were forced to forego getting our shit. We were, we didn't even know where it was really. Like we cast locate object, I think, and we were like, yeah, it's vaguely in that direction, but we're not going to be able to get to it because there were like teleportation wards around, so we couldn't even like teleport in with like a dimension door and get out. We had to get the fuck out. And so eventually we finally did reclaim all of our stuff way later in the campaign, but
which is important there.
But honestly, I feel like losing all your shit in a prison break scenario is, it comes with the territory. You shouldn't have gotten TPK'd.
And that was a big discussion at the time, and I think that's also a big component of prison breaks is, of course, you're not going to have your things, as you mentioned, but do you get them? What is the chance of getting your stuff back? And I think, unless I'm mistaken, that may have been the only time we escaped without our stuff. We had that conversation because we were given an escape route, basically, where we could go or we could stay.
Yeah, I mean, we were given the easy escape route. One of the fire giants was sympathetic to our cause, and so he dug out an escape route with his pet Bullet. But there was no way we were going to get our stuff back. So we could have said, "Fuck you, we're going to escape and get our stuff." But there was no there was a very small chance of that ending in success.
And we had even tried, because the rogue of the party and the bard were both very stealthy, and so we actually snuck out of our cells. I think maybe we had lockpicked it with a bone we found on the ground or something along those lines, and we ran around this fortress. And normally, you kind of have an idea in a prison of where you're at. We had no clue, because we're in a giant base. Everything is huge. We're in World 4 or 5 of Mario at this point, right? You don't know what's happening. So we ran all through this base trying to find our stuff, and we could not find it. We ended up, because we were invisible at the time, we both had our ways of turning invisible, and so we were racing down the hallways as quick as we could. We were dashing, double dashing, and we went into countless rooms. We listened in on conversations, but we could not find the way out. So we ended up sprinting all the way back, and after that, I know we must have had the conversation at that point of, do we go without our stuff or stay and get it? And I think most parties, and me especially most of the time, I'm thinking, no, actually I'm going to stay. We have to get our stuff. Like that's huge. Like you're losing all of your abilities, all the things that you've grown with and developed over time. And at this point we had been playing for what, like a year and a half.
And Seth was very generous in the quality of magic items that we'd accrued at that point. So, and we each had like a custom, personalized, super awesome item that we all just had to leave on the table and get the fuck out of there.
I don't know how you did it specifically, Zach. You had definitely one of the cooler ones, and I know how you are about your things in D&D, your magical ability. I don't know how you left that shield behind.
Well, ultimately, it's just stuff, and we'll get it back, and we did. And we also. We were not in a situation like you guys are, where you've got nothing but the clothes on your backs. Like, at least we had a keep to return to with a large amount of wealth, so we could buy lesser items to sort of make up for the fact that we lost all our shit. But
that is true. That is true.
It still wasn't fun, and ultimately, that does seem to happen with my shields, because in that item was awesome that Seth made for me, and then in Descent into Avernus, we just so happened to find another legendary shield that does much of the same thing, and I had to have that one ripped away from me too for everyone's benefit.
It's just the theme of Zach's characters to lose their shields is what it is. They never get to keep their shields ever.
But I got it back. I got it back again, and now we're doing great.
I want you to dual wield shields at some point, Zach. Because I think of the Dreadnoughts immediately, where they have two shields, and their AC must be like 22 or 24 or something crazy like that. I want to see an Oswin type character with like a 26. I know you can get a 30 AC. I know you can, Zach. I believe in you. I've seen your characters before. I think if you dual wield it and you go like Shield Master and you start bashing them in, I think you can make it work.
You see, for our next campaign, Spelljammer, whenever that happens, I've been thinking about a GIF monk to be like a hippo monk, but I could do a GIF fighter or paladin and just like go full armor mode, and that's my thing. That could also be super fun.
I think. Oh, we talked about my character a little bit in Out of the Abyss. I think I'm going to still lean into the armor vibe. I have to think about my exact build of where I'm going. I never power build, guys. I've been talking to Zach a little bit about like, how can I do more damage? How can I strengthen up my dude for this one? Because he gave us the forewarning that this one's going to be really hard. So I am, I'm trying to synergize a little bit, and I think Zach's proud of me as my D&D dad. He's looking down at me and like, you're doing good, son.
You're doing great. And I'll let you know that part of the difficulty may come from your access to your stuff. So.
Oh, well, and if that's the case, I actually am going to undo all of my build. I would actually like to be weaker and then have everything else easier for us. I think that's a good idea.
Actually, I'm also a monk. I forgot to mention.
I forgot. When I said fighter, I really meant druid. Did I not say it correctly?
Yeah, I think a druid would actually have a pretty decent time here. When Seth said he wanted to go monk too, I was like, well.
Watch me pick
I
all
guess
the
he won't
ones.
struggle as much as everyone else, but
and then you took it away from him, Zach.
Well, yeah, I had to find some way to make it even because, to be fair, it wasn't fair that Seth gets to have all of his abilities and everyone else.
No, you're right.
Everyone else is limited. So,
I will say, after talking about prison breaks for this episode, and thinking about that, I haven't done it at least at a very long time for some other players. I think maybe the Christmas one-off this year will be a prison break of some sort. Maybe high-tech steampunk elves kidnapping the narrator. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it'd be cool.
We even ran from Keys from the Golden Vault. There are a number of Prison Break scenarios in there, and I ran you guys through one, which was fun. You guys didn't succeed, but
We kind of did, sort of.
Yeah, you set your own objective and you succeeded at that.
Thanks, Zach. Appreciate the stamp of approval there.
Yeah, I mean, well, you didn't do what was laid out for you, but you did well enough, and ultimately you got out of there without dying or pissing anyone off too much. So
I do hope you toss some of the Golden Vault things, especially escaping sort of the vibe stuff out of Into the Abyss. I mean, you probably took some sort of inspiration from it after reading it, but I hope you put some of that theming in there, because I really do enjoy Keys of the Golden Vault, and I would like to do some more with it. Of course, we're trying to get Avernus continued right now with people kind of being out and sick and doing things, and Out of the Abyss in our off time. But now I'm really into Out of the Abyss. So I don't know when we're possibly going to have time for the Golden Vault, but I really do want to check out some more stuff, especially if it's like, train heists or something. I do like me some trains.
Yeah, we can definitely pepper some more in. I believe it's just the one train heist in the book, unfortunately, but there's a ton of other cool shit. And what I really like about the prison break situations in Keys from the Golden Vault is obviously you are not in the prison; you are going into the prison to break someone out, and so one of the quintessential things, if there's this prep time, as far as I'm concerned, a heist needs to have a map for you guys to see the layout of the place and plot your whole heist situation. Mm-hmm. So that's super fun, and I think for you guys, you're sort of doing a reverse heist because you're in the cell, and so you don't have a map. So you have to sort of plot out, all right, well, what is the space in here that we can reasonably discover, and then find our escape route eventually. So
I really hope we do. Zach. Yeah, no, I'm super stoked about Out of the Abyss. I think it's about it on Prison Breaks here. Zach, do you have any honorable mentions or things you want to talk about? I think we've hit most of it.
No, so just closing thoughts. If you haven't run a Prison Break in a while, consider it. And if you're a player in a Prison Break, understand that if you're in this situation, that you're gonna have to think a little bit outside of your comfort zone. But this really is the place where you can, let your characters shine and really use their unique skill set to the best of your ability. To your point, Drew, the stealthy characters are going to have a great time trying to get their way out, or the charismatic characters might have a great time trying to convince a guard to help them out a little bit, or even intelligence. You can investigate and look for weaknesses in the holding cell that you're in, or there are 1,000,001 different ways to use your skill set to the best of your ability to get out. So don't be afraid to try doing something other than fighting your way out, and I think you'll have a great time.
Although fighting your way out sometimes is fun.
Absolutely! If you can swing it, then swing it.
But yeah, no, absolutely. I'm a huge proponent. You guys have heard me time and time again. I'm a huge proponent into really owning your class, right? If you're going to be a rogue, be a really good rogue, right? Really play your role, right? If you're going to be the fighter, play your role, be the muscle, be the guardian of the group, right? And Prison Breaks do exactly that. They pull you back to your roots. They let you really focus in on what you're good at, especially when you're stripped of all of your items that, might have led to some intermingling of the roles a little bit. I remember as a rogue, I had something that let me cast Dimension Door once a day. So that was a big overlap into a wizard or something along those lines. So go back to your roots, guys. Plan a Prison Break.
Exactly.
Have fun with it. But I appreciate all of you for listening to Table Talk Friday at Table Talk Friday, a D&D podcast. We are on Patreon at tabletalkfriday.com/ patreon.com/tabletalk Friday.
You got it.
There we go. Where you'll find all sorts of exclusive content like we talked about earlier in the episode with Good Old Gamer, one of our favorite patrons. You'll find exclusive content like the post show we're about to record right now. But as we get into that, can I have the suspicious prisoner take us out?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if we're gonna be able to get out of this place. It seems pretty it's pretty it's tight. It's tight. It's inescapable. Yeah. Oh boy, I'm really suspicious about your your escape plan there. I don't know if it's gonna work. But anyway, I appreciate you boys letting me on the show to let everyone know how suspicious I am of their prison break. But yeah, if you figure it out, give me a call. I'd be happy to escape with you.